The cosmetic surgery game has changed, and everybody out here talking about those facelifts. But should you get one too? That's not just for you, John. When I was addressing the audience as well. This is not a pointed comment on your appearance.
Should John get one? Call in.
Man, it would be so good if it was a call-in show. That is the question that we're exploring today on Don't Praise the Machine in light of Kris Jenner, mother of the Kardashians, who is about to turn 70 years old this year, but she stunned the world by revealing her age-defying facelift in recent weeks, taking decades off her appearance. Now, John, we have spoken a lot about the puffy balloon-headed filler-based filler-based cosmetic procedure that we've been watching for years and years and years. If you look at Madonna recently, it kind of just looked like she got a whole ton of liquid injected into her face and it became very bulbous.
It did. Looked like she was getting ready for being put in the oven for a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, it absolutely did. But that puffy balloon-headed filler atrocity is out in 2025 and it's all about the deep plane or SMAS facelift for the elites who we love to keep a little magnifying glass on. And we're going to talk about just what Holly Weird has got access to, and then I'm absolutely going to be sharing what us plebs have access to that's been coming across my terrifying timeline. my frightening For You page.
I'm going to have to tell you what, you sent me some clips in preparation for today's show.
Yes.
And now I'm going to have to get the carpet in my study deep clean because I threw up everywhere.
Yeah, there's the Kris Jenner facelift that's a little bit more expensive than the facelift that you can fly to parts of Asia or potentially Turkey for. And we're going to have a look at some of them that are getting advertised on social media. And so that's going to help you make the right decision on a facelift plan for you and your family.
Knew that was coming.
So in recent weeks, John, in fact months, ever since I saw Lindsay Lohan last year, maybe it was earlier this year, and she looked completely different.
Yeah, Lindsay.
Like you could see Lindsay Lohan appeared and it was a very different looking Lindsay. I mean, it really was Freaky Friday. I said, is this real life or is it Freaky Friday? What's going on here? How are you looking completely unrecognizable, Lindsay Lohan? Like you've just... You're looking, I hate to say this because, I don't think it's a great path to go down, but she looked good.
She did.
She looked great. And
it was kind of disturbing because you knew what she looked like before and you were like, well, that's just not even her anymore. But if you just started with that person, whoever they were, you'd think, it's quite an attractive young person.
It's true. Wouldn't that be? It's funny, isn't it? Because that's an interesting thing to think about that maybe we can touch on at some point. Because obviously what's happening is these celebrities, everybody knows what they look like and then they look like that. But imagine Lindsay meeting somebody now who didn't know who she was. I guess she's having an experience where a lot of people are meeting her and don't know who she is because of how fucking different she looks.
Much easier for her to travel now.
Yeah. Yeah, fucking oath. That's very true. That's an interesting point. Like, get a facelift, and before you reveal the facelift to the media as a celebrity, just spend a few weeks like doing all the shit you have never been able to do because you get hassled by people that recognize you. Because she absolutely would not get recognized for the first, until you saw her on the red carpet and everybody was going, "Hey, just FYI, that's Lindsay Lohan." It just looked like a different person. So you absolutely could. This is one of the new advantages of these deep plane or SMAS facelifts is if you're a celeb, just before you reveal, heal up, just take your deep plane, heal up, and then go to the water park that you always wanted to. Go to Wet and Wild on the Gold Coast that you always wanted to, but you didn't want to get bothered.
The paps will just kind of squint at you going, is that? No, it's not. And you'll be right.
Yes. So me and John have been obsessed with celebrity cosmetic procedures, and as I say, there's been a noticeable shift in recent months from ploofs to smooths, and it was back in the headlines in recent weeks because, Kris Jenner, did you say scion? What does scion mean?
Scion's usually like a kind of an heir of a fortune or powerful family.
Well, if she's the head, then she's the
matriarch.
Opposite. The matriarch. Thank you, John. And she turned 70 at the end of this year. And I've got I'll see if I can share.
70? Bloody hell.
She turned 70 in November, I checked. And so what we're going to do right now is take a bit of a look at this People magazine article. I'm going to click share. I want to say thank you, Riverside, for allowing me to share my screen and take a look at this. Shan.
Wow, look at that. I mean, it's not like she went from 0 to 100, but because she'd already had a lot of work done, but that is a whole new level that she's on.
So what are we seeing there? So for anyone at home listening, on the left-hand side, we have the OG Kris Jenner. And what I'm seeing, I love now, I'm going to go into the mode of like one of those cosmetic surgeons who has a YouTube channel. What we're seeing on the left here is a lot of nasal flabioid distortion. It's very classic in an aging lady around 70 years old. Starting to see that we're losing a lot of volume around the under eye area, and so that's kind of what's happened. So also, her skin just
some bulbosity there.
She's suffering from. Word. When you reach 70 years old, you can expect an increased amount of nasal tip bulbosity around the nasal area. We should talk about Ariana Grande one day. I don't think I've got her in my notes, but she's a sort of, she hasn't had a deep plane. Oh, you know what? She probably fucking has, but Jesus Christ, has Ariana had a lot of procedures. And isn't it incredible that Ariana Grande kind of exists where people don't really think she's had work done? She exists. She's one of those young people that exists in this celebrity cosmetic surgery world where the work is so good and she's so young and the procedures are so slight over a long period of time that you just go, oh, that's just Ariana Grande. And then you sent me a photo of a teenage Ariana Grande and I went, and I bath off.
She just looks like...
She looked great, but she looks like a normal person.
It's like a normal teen. Like a kind of... And she's Italian-American, so she looks like a kind of, Italian-American teenager that's not, not unattractive, not particularly attractive, just a normal-looking person.
Someone I could get. That's what I said. I didn't know Ariana Grande was someone I could get.
And now she's a weird wrinkly waif.
And if you want to see the kind of great work that you can get if you suffer from a little bit of teenage nasal tip bulbosity, Ariana Grande is the go-to. She's had tremendous work done. So yeah, we got Kris.
I've got nasal tip dysmorphia where my nasal tip is normal, but I perceive it as very bulbous.
You feel like you've got a very severe mental condition that people or ghost limb nose is what you've got.
Ghost tip.
I've got ghost tip. So yeah, it looks like on the left there. She looks like a little old lady, which I love. But you are seeing a lot of under eye sort of wrinkles, and then I think here, John. I think if you look at her cheeks, I think that is what they call the nasal. I have to look. It is like it's nasal something oid folds, which is where this bit here becomes more pronounced. It's funny actually. Because I had to do this fucking show, I started reading up on cosmetic procedures and stuff. And then I got on the train and I was suddenly able to, I was just going, yeah, really heavy folds on this one's probably about 65 years old. heavy jowling. I could do some, and I started doing a little air scalpel on people on the train.
Just holding up your iPad over them.
And I was doing the thing with the marker, where I was doing texture on their face. I was just leaning over and just doing the black texture on their face and just squidging their jubby jowls and just going, oh yeah, don't worry about this. I said, you come in for a morning procedure, I could have you out by lunchtime. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a whole language, like a whole dictionary filled with jargon because, people like me just look at someone and go, oh, they look a bit older. I don't really know why. It's just an overall impression. But of course, if I sat down and analyzed it, it would be an aggregate of, things like that, little weird impressions in the nose and the ears and the eye
and the skin, just the
sockets and
her. Like if you look at her skin looks really smooth. I will say something else. Obviously, these photographs are the photographs that she has given to the media or that she has uploaded to Instagram. And I think I have a link later. If you do watch interviews with these people, they do just look like kind of good looking, like Lindsay Lohan doesn't come across to me when I watch interviews with her as being, you'll see people say, oh, Lindsay Lohan's had that facelift and she looks like a teenager. And I'm like, she does look like an old lady that's had a little, I shouldn't say old lady, she's like our age. She looks like a middle-aged or woman entering middle age who looks really good. The other thing maybe with Lindsay Lohan is her voice is a dead giveaway. Like, that is not a teenager's voice, Lindsay Lohan. No. Lindsay Lohan's like, yeah, I've really loved doing this. I love doing this fucking movie. Fuck you want from me? Fuck you want from me? And you go, hey, that's not a teenage Lindsay Lohan.
I mean, she's lived a pretty hard life as well. So she is 38, and she's probably, some of her internal organs would have a much higher. Brian Johnson would say she's in her 70s if you looked at her kidneys or liver.
Absolutely, or lungs. She she has a deep smoke on that voice, which I actually find very sexy, and so we got Chris here, and so she appeared, and I mean everybody just went, that doesn't look like an old lady, that looks like a woman in her fucking like a 40-year-old woman. She really does look on credible there. And so everybody's been going, okay, what the hell is going on? What are these people getting that is new? Because we ain't seen nothing like this before. And so I was doing my research. A lot of the information I got for this, I want to give a shout out to Allure magazine, which was excellent. And Allure magazine just talking about the rise in the popularity of cosmetic procedures, which I found really fascinating because I hadn't heard this before. They said that the fact that like cosmetic procedures generally are exploding in popularity is because Gen X's women are hitting menopause and they don't want to look matronly. Their words, not mine, which is kind of interesting that like like Gen X's are the ones driving this because they're different to boomers. Yeah. They have a different approach or feeling towards aging, and so they're kind of driving this market at the moment. And also Allure was saying, as I alluded to earlier, that fillers have basically, the filler market's hit its peak, and everyone's going like, nah, can't just keep shooting that in our faces anymore. So apparently Page 6 reported that it's Dr. Stephen Levine that did Kris Jenner's recent work. I've even heard that he charges $350K for what Kris Jenner got. And apparently like there's some discussion as to whether or not there's two procedures that she may have got. There's either the deep plane facial, which dates back to the 1990s, or the SMAS, superficial, I can't even pronounce this, I'm going to get a guy to in a sec. And they both adjust, so I have here deep plane dates back to the 1990s and adjusts the muscle layer of the face to give a more natural and thorough result that lasts longer without that, I love this, without that windswept look of the past.
Yeah.
Which is the kind of blah.
Which is just like stretching your face back to avoid wrinkles.
Exactly. Whereas these ones actually, they adjust the muscular layer underneath the skin. And in fact, I have a little video example here that I found, which I can use to demonstrate. So let me bring this up. John. One moment. This guy. This is from Dr. William, the Williams Center, and so he's just going to give us in a minute. He's just going to kind of show. He's going to show you the weekend facelift, which I think is the classic stretch back versus the deep plane. He called it the weekend facelift. I'm assuming that means the kind of classic one versus here we have the
deep plane.
The deep plane, and so
sounds kind of profound, doesn't it? The deep plane of plastic surgery. Okay, there he is. Demonstration by Dr. Edwin Williams.
Introspective, self-actualized facelift.
Exactly.
All right, here we go.
So on this mannequin, which I like to use, it's so confusing, but this I think shows patients or people, what the difference is. So here's your skin, and we make our incision to elevate the skin flap and get that.
There's your SMAS layer underneath revealed.
This under layer is the SMAS, the submuscular aponeurotic system. And in the traditional SMAS lift, you take a little strip out of this and you pull it tight.
Yeah. You getting this?
And it's pretty effective, and it's what we did for many years. But let me just show you the difference.
Why the deep plane facelift is more effective.
Yeah.
When we do a deep plane lift, we actually cut all the way through this SMAS.
Mm-hmm.
So we're undermining a little less of that tissue subcutaneous, so it's a little less traumatic. But the big thing is, we actually, you see, these are all the little ligaments.
It's gone real deep. Another layer.
These ligaments, and let me show you. It's like trying to pull a bed sheet up with a pillow under it. It's not as effective as than if you take the pillow out. But this releasing of the ligaments really pulls that and gives us a nice, crisp, clean jawline. It's also allowing us to lift as well as pulling back, so people don't get that kind of windswept look. And then once this is put into its repair in its more natural state, we are able to put the skin back and tailor it and fashion it so there's absolutely no tension on the skin at all.
So it's basically like the tension is on the muscles as opposed to this. They basically address underneath the skin, whereas like your cheaper traditional facelift, I think they just literally stretch the skin, and we'll see a bit of that later on. Hang out for that team. So it's basically like these facelifts where they lift the skin up and then they do jazzy work underneath, leaving the skin untraumatized. I think that's basically
underneath the SMAS.
Yeah.
There's a face that's stretching.
Yeah.
Underneath my SMAS. Yeah.
So it says that Levine, he's one of the youngest leaders in the field of aesthetic surgery, and it looks like people are saying things like that Brad Pitt got one of these, Lindsay Lohan, Demi Moore, and Anne Hathaway. And so it does just appear, John, that there's a new frontier, and I want to explore it. John, what do you think how do you feel about the fact that celebrities and the elites are now able to pay $350,000 for a SMAS job, which means that the elites they'll just be eternal? And I came up with a funny joke. I came up with a funny joke in the shower that I wanted to share with you, which was I wanted to say, every time when I think of the Kardashians, I always look at them and I think, what a beautiful family. Age shall not weary them. And every time on Anzac Day, are you talking about the Anzacs or the Kardashians?
That's true. Nor the years condemn the sweet Kardashians. Look, I think it's interesting because it's just kind of fascinating to see how far people can push this, and also how it's going to age. I mean, I guess we're just seeing the kind of front end of these procedures, but it'd be interesting to see whether they've got, and I assume they probably will because people will have looked into this, whether they've got staying power or whether, like, what the hell is Kris Jenner going to look like in 10 years' time?
Yeah. So,
is she going to be 80 and sort of look still like a kind of 45-year-old woman?
Yeah.
But I also think what's interesting about it is it exposes the kind of competitive race that is implicit in these procedures. I mean, 20 years ago, obviously, we've talked about this on the show before about how, it used to be something that people would kind of go to great lengths to cover up the fact that they'd had any kind of work done. They would deny it, even if it was plainly obvious. And that's obviously shifted, particularly in relation to things like Botox or filler, which are now seen as, not very different from somebody asking you, are you wearing makeup or is that your natural skin? I mean, I was watching an AMA from my favorite local Melbourne journalist, Jackie Felgate, the other day, and somebody was asking her, you have great skin. Do you mind if I ask if you've had anything done? And she just replied, of course I have. Like, I'm 42 years old. This isn't just my skin. And she said, yeah, I've done, fillers and Botox and whatever. But I guess what happens is the technology gets, more available to the masses, gets more affordable, more people learn the techniques, and therefore, the supply goes up and the cost goes down. And also society just comes to accept it. And then the celebrities are not satisfied, partly because I think what they're doing is not just looking young, but also expressing their status as people who have access to kind of rarefied cutting edge technologies that leave the rest of us marveling at their eternal youth. So they would think, well, part of what that I think is behind it is them thinking, not only can I get a better job done if I go to the cutting edge of this technology, but also, fillers and Botox, that's all a bit kind of plain Jane now. And everyone has got access to that. And I need to have an edge. I saw something in the Australia's answer to The Onion, the Batuta Advocate recently, where, it was making fun of the fact that now if you're like a 40-year-old and you get lip fillers and Botox done or something, it's not like you look like a 30-year-old. You just kind of you've just caught up with all of your 40-year-old peers who have also had those procedures done. So it's kind of an inflationary effect where the standard is just lifted for everyone, so that looking 40 just changes its meaning. And therefore, for somebody like Kris Jenner, she's got to be like, no, I've got to go a step further than everyone else in order to look unusually beautiful for a 70-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Which she's succeeded in doing.
Who's going to up Kris Jenner? Who's a current celebrity I'm thinking Mel Brooks. What about a Mel Brooks SMAS job? Why don't we get Mel? Why don't we get Mel on the red carpet? Just looking 25. Is that crotchety?
Just 98-year-old man who looks 25. That's an idea. I mean, imagine you'd love Levine would love it if he was, or Divine, whatever his name is, would love it if he's if a 98-year-old walked in, he'd be like, what a fascinating challenge. Yeah. What am I going to find under his SMAS? Probably fucking asbestos sheeting.
They have to get very special training because there's asbestos underneath the face layer.
He had one of those facelifts in the 60s where they just put a bit of asbestos against your cheekbone.
This will help your face not catch fire, which we've just been doing to everybody.
Facelift.
So that's these are the ones that the elites have access to. I must also say, before I move on to the next bit, there is something kind of unsettling about the there's something there's a weird sort of line that's crossed when you go when you misjudge somebody's age by a wide margin, where it starts getting unsettling, like as us as a species. Like if you were to say and this is I'm going to use myself as an example here, and I'm just going to say, look, I was in very good light. This woman had never met me before. Also, I'm not sure she was great at judging age, but this will give you an example of this will be a good example of what I'm talking about. Like it's all well and good for somebody to say, oh, let me guess your age. You look like you're in your mid-30s. And I'm like, oh, that's very kind of you. I'm actually like 42, nearly 43 this year. You know, what a nice compliment. I didn't realize that, you know, I look maybe 7. You thought I was 7 or 8 years younger than I actually am. And everybody's like comfortable with that. But there's something weird that happened, and this happened to me last year, where I was at a lunch with somebody, and they asked a friend of mine. This is like an older lady. She's retired, and she asked and that perhaps speaks to why she got my age so wrong, because she doesn't live in the era where people of our age look so much younger than people of her generation.
Right.
Like, well, this is the thing everyone's discussed as well, and why that is. But she thought I was like in my early 20s or something bizarre. Like, she basically misjudged my age by like 20 years. And there's something weird that happens where you go, like, it doesn't feel good. I wasn't saying that I like was worried about me seeming immature, but there's something weird about like a person with more experience on Earth being able to pass as being like younger. Like, it's suddenly like, does this guy get to turn up to parties with like 22-year-olds at them, and everybody thinks he's one of them, and he has the experience and like life experience, and he should be he should not be at that party, and he should be being judged for being at that party, and yet he can pass for being the same age as those people. So there's something weird.
All the girls are saying he's such an old soul, and his guitar playing is so much better than that other guy because he's had 30 more years to practice.
and we find his deeply conservative views refreshing, and we don't know where they've come from.
He's a really individual thinker, and he has a weirdly detailed knowledge of mid-20th century history.
Yeah, I'd never thought about immigration that way. We've always just
exactly.
What a fascinating thought. And and there is something weird about like Kris Jenner. Like, if there's like I don't think I'd feel real comfortable with, like, if I thought a woman was like 40 and she was 90, you know?
No.
Like, there's something about that she's got
there's
something about all those years.
And it's also expressive of a weirdness that she would want at that advanced age to be perceived as about 40. I mean, if she got together with a man who was, you know, let's say in his 40s, because he was like, well, you look about the right age for me, and I can look past the fact that, you know, chronologically you're not the right age for me. But there would be a strange mismatch, you would think, between their kind of sensibilities and their understanding of the world. And also, I would assume too that it would be a bit like, I mean, there's got to be a point where her general kind of way that she carries herself betrays her true age in a way that, you know, even the most extraordinary facial. It's a bit like.
You mean physically or in a personality?
Physically, and I guess, you know, in terms of her general, like, you know, in terms of the kind of fashions and mannerisms that she's picked up. But I was thinking too, in terms of, you know, she'd look a bit like
Cod Sarnet all the time. That's like
exactly. That's right. But she'd also be like, you know, shuffling in about 10 years with this kind of.
Yes, of course.
She'd be like a woman who's in her, you know, early 40s, but has some sort of degenerative disease, which she does. And it's the fact that she's in her 80s. Yeah. And so she'll be looking a bit like one of the, you know, when Martin Scorsese says, oh, but I don't want to get a younger actor I really like, Robert De Niro. Can't he just play the 40-year-old hitman? And he kind of looks like he's chasing after a bad guy in a way that looks quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's
So the deep plane, is that the same as the SMAS or the SMAS procedure?
I think the SMAS is even slightly more. I think the deep plane is. I think they adjust. I think the deep plane they adjust a layer under the skin, and I think the SMAS they even go a layer deeper. Don't quote me on that, but they're kind of similar. But both of them are ones that basically you can't fly to Vietnam and get for $1,500, which we're going to move on to next. I was also just going to mention, when you're talking about the physicality of it, John, and the giveaways, I think still they have a bit of work to do on the neck. The neck is a bit of a giveaway. The neck wrinkles. If you know you look like real young, then you turn your neck, and there's suddenly way more wrinkles than if you were a younger lady. And the hands as well. Think about an 80-year-old woman's hands. Think about that. They're gonna have to start working on. Levine's gonna have to start working on hand lifts. I'm gonna have to get a hand lift.
I guess you could just get prosthetics. Or transplants. Get a young person's dead hands and screw them onto your Kris Jenner arms.
Just get fake hands that you put your own hands into, like rubber gloves.
Yeah, totally.
Slightly thicker than your own hands, because just Kris Jenner turning up to the Met Gala with rubber glove hands. like dishwashing gloves when she touches you.
It also makes me think, just as a side point, that back in the 90s, I remember when plastic surgery was kind of starting to mature a bit and get beyond the kind of the strange and unrealistic looking capabilities that it previously had. And there was a lot of press about it. There was a lot of talk about how society's going to become more shallow and blah, blah, blah. But alongside that, there was this kind of application of plastic surgery in the freaks community, which was popularized by, people like Marilyn Manson, and the X-Files had a couple of episodes where they had these characters who had done things like, gotten their whole body tattooed, and then also like had their nose removed and replaced with a sort of reptilian looking nose or something. And so I'm hoping that that these new avenues open up a new array of options for the freak community, because if they can get in under your SMAS, what if I just said, can you put, can you just make some fish scales in under there, or some spikes, or just leave it, clean out the SMAS, and then just let my skin sag weirdly over a deep planed face.
Can I get a different textured skin? Yeah. Can I get snake skin? Can I get bear fur?
Exactly.
So last year, I think again it was last year. It was in the last 12 months. Some videos started real trending on TikTok and Instagram of some extreme facelift procedures that we'd never seen before, and they were coming out of an account by a guy called Dr. Kim. And a lot of people will have seen these, but I want to just remind everybody, this is the elusive Dr. Kim. I'm going to share screen, John, and we're just going to have a look at the procedures that were popping up on our social medias, and we were loving them so dear. Here was some of the Dr. Kim work that was coming out last year.
Yes. This is the...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
An older lady looking.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
They look so happy. They're so happy. This guy's a classic. This guy's an absolute classic. He came in with, look at that. He's happy. Don't judge him.
What's happened?
Yeah.
He looks like a character in the Mikado after the procedure for some reason.
So that was Dr. Kim, and people started saying, wow, they must have a different set of standards in China that is allowing him to, I mean, like, also admittedly, he's taking the photograph. You mean
like health and safety standards? Yeah,
low
for
standards. Sure. Yeah, they, so that was Dr. Kim. And then I didn't think much about these. I thought, oh, that's just one guy going rogue. And that's fine. And I love that for him. And then I started getting sent a new man on my TikTok, who currently has 183,000 followers on TikTok, and he's called Dr. Tran Hai. He is in Vietnam, and you can look him up. It's Trung Tam Bak Si Tran Hai on TikTok, and you're gonna see here he's turned one man from having quite jubby cheek into looking quite a lot like Paul Rubens from Pee Wee Herman. I'm going to share that.
I think these are kind of better because, like, Better in. Oh, sorry.
No, you keep going. So what are you saying there? You think they're better, John, because
I think they're kind of more visually entertaining because Kris Jenner's always had pretty good plastic surgery for as long as I've known who she was.
Yeah.
And so what you're getting is like going from like, you know, a pretty good procedure to a kind of out of this world procedure. Whereas when you're getting into like Dr. Tran Hai and all these other rogue global south professionals, aesthetic professionals, you're getting people who look just like, you know, kind of chain smoking cab drivers in their 50s and 60s who look pretty old and haggard. And then it's like going from 0 to 100 because they often do look strange, but also they do undeniably look a lot younger at the end. But there's something, they look also kind of unsettling. So it's more entertaining in that way. Whereas you know, like Dr. Levine, or is it Levine or Devine?
Yeah,
he knows what he's doing. So it's kind of like, well, yeah, fair enough. Whereas I think these people are just like, they're skilled, but they're also willing to stop at nothing to kind of chase the youth.
And also, you also it's kind of terrifying because these people do look like they're in their maybe late 50s, 60s, 70s, and then he does at least for a time make them look very convinced. Who knows? This is the other thing. I'm particularly interested to know. Apparently, the SMAS and stuff lasts 10 to 15 years, and then Kris will probably have to go back. But I don't know what the long term implications of these ones are.
And just Tran Hai,
yeah, and just for everybody, what's good?
It's good for about 3 days.
And then it just melts while you're on the train. You're just reading your book, and you just see your lips on the page, and you go, "Oh no, Dr. Tran, I shouldn't have paid $14.99 for my."
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? They're about $1,500.
You can see in the comments here, somebody's commented, and he's replied and said, "Here, it's just $14.99." In the comments. So anyway, here you got this guy here.
He's like, he's done the trick. He hasn't gone for $1,500. He's gone $14.99, which is a sure sign that you're dealing with people who are strapped for cash.
It's just $149.99 for this facelift. So this guy here, have a look at him. Dr. Tran is treating him like a puffer fish he's just pulled out of the ocean. He's showing off his catch. And yeah, there you go. Go and look at this one. This one's going to make good eating tonight, he's saying. And then you can see here.
I love that layering in the frame.
Yeah, and then he's turned him into Pee Wee Herman, which I love.
Yes,
it's good work.
Oh no. Gotten rid of a fair bit of his lower half.
Has anybody seen my bright red bicycle? I think it's been stolen potentially by my rich neighbor, and we're gonna have to go on an adventure to find it. And that's what's happened. Yeah, I've got so many from this guy. So then you've got this guy I love. He's going, please help me. I got giant. The bottom half of his face used to be too big.
Holy shit. He's got the Marvel jaw.
Yeah, and then he said, look, and just so everybody knows, we haven't mentioned as well, the way that they do the facelift is they make an incision right in front of your ear to access the layers. If they're doing SMAS, whatever, that's where the incision is, because they're trying to hide. Like you don't want them to start by doing down the middle of your face. So they cut the line not in the middle of your face, but on the side of your ears. Which when you watch, when you look at cosmetic influencers who are on social media who are doing analysis of celebrities and asking if they've had facelifts, they always focus in on, like, they'll look at Bradley Cooper on the red carpet, and the guy will go, look, he's trying to hide the telltale scar, and you can see that there's a little bit of a scar in front of the ear. So that's what they're doing with these on your $14.99 job is, instead of the SMAS, what they're really doing is it's literally, as far as I understand, it is the swept look. So what they do is they literally they make an incision on the side of the face. I think they detach the face from the muscles by basically just putting an instrument in and just going kind of like the way that you would like try and gently take a sticker off from, like, if you wanted to keep a sticker that you loved and you didn't want to tear all the paper and you put your finger underneath it and gently take it off. And then they literally like grab the side of the face and just pull it back to smooth out the wrinkles.
It must. I mean, I know that you're anesthetized at the time, but there must be a fair bit of residual discomfort, I would have thought. The first one that you sent to me, which I loved because there was one that I just sent you actually.
Okay, let's have a look.
She's a classic example of your sort of woman that looks like she's had a fairly difficult life and is kind of more than halfway through it, and now she's real stretched. But some of these, they will actually show you that what you just described, where you can see like the forehead flap lifted up like the skin of a mango, and it's just they're just kind of scraping underneath it.
She looks great too. Like, who knows how long this lasts, but that's great. That's great work. I mean, look, she had exactly what I was talking about, the nasal flabbial folds. If you look at her aged photo, John, the trying this bit here, you can see how that's gone in the. And the thing I love,
and sure, her face is a very strange shape now, but it's also very smooth.
Imagine what she's going to be able to achieve with that new face that she wasn't able to before. What else have we got here from our doc? The other thing I love about Dr. Tran is how he sort of stands behind his clients and sort of like forces them to do these social media. This one
very close behind them.
This one a little bit more of a concern. Let me have a look. This one here, you just think.
I mean, if they're $1,500, you know. They're not. I wouldn't say Kris Jenner's is 300 times better. I think you could just keep getting these every couple of weeks.
Every week. This lady, I mean, maybe that'll turn out fine, but she look. The other thing I love about these is they look like robots. They look like they look and move like robots. And he's going, and she's going, thank you for this facelift. Look at that.
He looks like he's holding her, maybe keeping the skin folds together in the back of the head.
Yeah, he's got he's just a fistful of skin at the back of her head.
Wow, these are scary. It's true. I mean, there is a point where somebody looks like they're wearing their own face.
Yes. This guy I love too.
Because they can't see properly out of their own eye holes.
This one's a great job too. Like, this guy went from looking like a probably man in his early 60s, late 50s, to looking like a man in his 20s, at least for now. But again, how long does this last? And then the other one,
real weird man in his
20s. You pay $14.99, you're gonna look weird, but boy, you're gonna look young. The other one that's a good example is this man, because this is a much older gentleman. So he looked like this. He looked like your granddad. Yeah. He looked like your granddad that you loved so dear. And then
he did. My granddad did not look like that.
And then they're doing the stretch. Look at that.
Oh, fuck. Do they ever? Is there ever a tear? Do you think they ever go? Oh shit!
Fuck! You are fucked if that happens. And so then look at him. He turned him into a.
Oh yeah.
What do you think? A happy man.
Wow. He does look like a younger version of himself, doesn't he?
Yeah. Dr. Tran's gone, look at that, $14.99.
Why is it such an old man getting it? I wonder.
That's my question. That's another thing that makes you feel uncomfortable, doesn't it? It's like, I don't want a man that looks like that. I love that somebody's just written in the comments, Zelensky and 12.
He does kind of look like Zelensky.
in the combat fatigues.
Yeah.
So that's Dr. Tran. Then we've got then we also have I've got also Dr. Dwiango, I think, that I was going to share with you on on TikTok, or maybe let's have a look.
There was one that I saw in your notes that was a kind of mother and son, which I quite liked.
Yeah,
the journey.
I'll send you that. The Australian mother and son from. I think they were, for some reason. I think I can't remember which part they were. But I will find them, and that's a nice touch too. Is that your homosexual son takes you to the clinic for the lifts together. Because I mean, that would be
your dreams.
Yeah, for the lift of your dreams. It would be a slightly weirder thing for a straight man to be like, me and mum are going to get, or maybe not. But I just was like, well, yeah, okay, here we
weird.
Go. But it's sort of a bit more. You go, yeah, of course. Like the fabulous son has taken. Here he is. I'll turn this one up. Garrett, you absolute champion. Him and mum. I'll turn this up. We'll start again.
Hey guys, so we thought we'd do a bit of a price breakdown for mum's surgery. We've had heaps of questions in regards to it. So mum had a few different surgeries while she was here. This is her currently day 4 after surgeries. How you feeling?
Good. What's happening with Garrett's hairline, by the way?
So Garrett's had a hair transplant. So they've gone over. So it's the Turkish double combo deal where he's gotten a discount because he
Turkish delights.
Couple of Turkish delights. So he's had a hair transplant to bring his hairline forward, and she's got a facelift, and that. Look, I feel kind of bad now because I'm just going to Corfu in Greece with my mum to lay in the sun, and what I could have done is gone for a double Istanbul job, and I could have
wake up on the beach and you'll just have used the marker all over her face.
I said, Mum, surprise, surprise, but we got to get to the airport because I got us a direct flight to Istanbul. I'm going to send you back to Adelaide looking unrecognizably young and hot. And then I'm going to TikTok our journey, Marie. So that's so she's had the work done.
Had the upper and lower eyelid surgery, so they've cut.
This also, John, just speaks to how normalized this is, and he's doing this look at this amazing gift that I don't know if he paid for it, but it's this kind of this couldn't be more normalized. We went on a holiday. Me and Mum went on a holiday, and we've done this incredibly positive thing together.
The excess skin away from her eyes. She had a deep plane face, neck, and temporal lift, which is basically all of the facelift that you can get. And then she's also had the lip lifting. So Mum was a heavy smoker for pretty much all of her life.
Yes, I was. Yep.
So
I now have lips.
And so let's have a look, because I've been following Garrett a little bit. So this was a few weeks ago. Let's have a look at his mum now. Let's have a look at it. Let's understand that journey that she was on. I mean, these are not. She's not looking great at that in this one. That's not.
Good Lord.
That's.
Oh God.
That's what you got to go through. There's this hair transplant. Okay, so let's have a look. This is I guess the latest one we have is day 14.
Hi everyone, day 14.
Bit windswept, but we'll give not too windswept.
A little bit of a rest without my bandage on. Got another week of the bandage full time. Garrett and I have been really hectic. Today we had an interview with 94.5.
Oh, look at that. They're getting radio interviews probably because the account blew up.
So someone in the comments said, "I'm so sorry to ask, but will the eyebrows eventually go down?" Just don't ask if you're so sorry to ask. And what does she? Do you have any before shots?
Yeah, we must have. I did find there definitely is before shots, because that was he was like, look at. Mum, can we see?
Flying my mum and I from Perth, Australia to Turkey so that she can undergo a facelift.
There you go.
And get a hair transplant. We flew from Perth to Kuala Lumpur to Istanbul. We were picked up from our medical team and brought directly to the hospital. We got to meet with the doctors and chat through Mum's procedure that she was going to have in the morning. They answered any questions that we had. Much just that. The next day.
I mean, it's quite nice. It's a kind of nice. Some sons don't have any relationship with their mother. They don't care about her. Garrett,
It's true.
has gone like, let's fucking get to Istanbul. We'll eat a bunch of Turkish delight, have a bunch of kebabs. We'll visit the Hagia Sophia. And I've said this before, you've got to get to the Istanbul tourist attractions in 2025 because it is like another fucking planet. It's like, it's basically like you cannot walk for tripping over bloodied bandages on the floor, bloodied bandages covered in blood and pus at every single Turkish tourism site in 2025, and everybody just looks like they need a medic from some sort of conflict that they've been sent back from.
Oh dear! Who knew?
It's so funny when they
when it was the heart of the Eastern Roman Empire. That one day it would just be something people flock to for deep plains.
When the Ottoman Turks took over Constantinople and switched it, when they switched the Hagia Sophia into a mosque, they could have never known that that amongst the people worshipping Allah would just be a bunch of like international cosmetic tourists just looking like just weeping from eyes and weeping from wounds, weeping from eyes and weeping from wounds. I have a look at some of the other ones I sent you here, John. So this is a classic case of, look at that. Let's have a look. So,
okay. The squidge.
He's given her the puffer fish squidge, saying, "Going to make good eating tonight," and then he.
Good size.
Good size. Yeah. Let's have a look. She's good.
Oh yeah. She looks like a robot.
He's turned her into an anime robot, and I mean,
wow,
that's insane. Jesus Christ! I mean, imagine that being your mother or grandmother, and then you have to hug that. You have to hug that.
Yeah, I wouldn't hug it anymore.
This one I wanted to share with you, John, because this woman also is Australian, and she went to the Thai guy, and I don't know if we'll be able to even show this on, but I will show it on. We'll probably get banned off YouTube for showing this, but let's have a look. Share this tab instead. So
this is the one. Oh no!
Then the skin away.
Yeah, show the first bit again.
Okay, so then
just getting real in there.
So that's so it is just kind of like, oh look, I want to keep this sticker because I really like it, so I have to remove it gently from. It's like taking the way you gently take a wet beer label off a beer that you don't want to.
It's true. It's true. What are they scraping under there?
So I think what they're doing is they're separating the skin from the muscle. Like so the skin is attached to the muscle, but you can't stretch it while it's attached to the muscle. So they separate it, and then and then they pull it like a Glad wrap. And there's one more. I wanted to show you some from this particular. This is Dr. Juyango. So I'm going to open Juyango's. Juyango Unchained is the name of this. It's the name of this account. Now this guy I fucking love, but also I don't love the fact that a kind of nice looking man from Japan has decided to do this. Sensitive content. Some people might find this video disturbing. I don't know about that. Share this tab. Okay, so let's have a look here, John. Oh, hang on, I don't want him. I want this. I want this guy. I want Dr. Juyango, who is here. This is the guy I want to show you.
Oh, look at that. Oh no.
I'm so happy for my face.
It looks like if you emoted too much, you just rip it open.
Yeah, absolutely. You cannot do a big smile. But I would like to know what he looks like now. Like, I assume this was some months ago. This is also what I wanted to show you. This is dark. So
wow.
Here we have the post facelift recovery room for the $14.99. This is Dr. Juyango, who's in China, so I don't know what he charges, but have a look at this for the future that we live in right now. What are you seeing there, John Farrell?
Wow, look at that. It's basically a kind of dystopian image of a sort of like a hospital waiting room where a bunch of women are sitting together and they've all got head braces on, like head bandages essentially, to keep their faces from sloughing off after the surgical procedure.
So these are the cheaper jobs, $14.99. So if you can afford, here we go as well. I love this one as well. I'm going to play the song because I just love this particular guy who's Dr. Facelift Lefeng. He also plays this song on all of his videos that I love, which goes, I don't want to be left behind. Distance was a friend of mine. And he does it on all of them, and I can't stop watching, and I'm going to share this with you. And this is my 57-year-old sister got full facelift. What do you think she looks?
Oh, look at that. So she's got the real alabaster complexion. And I don't know what she's going to look like after that settles down. I hope okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be playing Simply Red holding back the years because that's what they're really doing.
Literally. Quite literally.
Stretching back the years.
So you can get the so you can get these for $14. I'm doing his work for him here. $14.99, and you can get to Vietnam or Thailand and get a cheaper job.
Dr. Facelift.
Maybe we can get. I don't think I said anything too horrible about the Perth couple. Maybe we can get him on the show, and we can ask. Look, can we get your mum on the show? Can we see how it all turned out? Like particularly in a year or 2 years, I'd love to see how they hold up.
Yeah. I mean, does the fact that, because already these things were getting more acceptable, Botox, filler, they were becoming more commonplace, less stigmatized. And I wonder if they'll become even more so because people will say, look, I'm not getting a fucking deep plane job. I'm just getting something that's several degrees more conservative than that. So it sort of, it leaves those old procedures to be even more normalized because the barrier keeps getting pushed out. And I'm happy about that because I'm entering my early to mid 40s, and it's a real mess where once there was unblemished skin, it's just a real mess. And I can't wait to get that sorted out.
So forget about Ines' college fund. That's all gone into. Jacinta's going to have a look.
Daddy's going to earn a lot more if he looks 10% hotter.
Jacinta's going to find. She's going to go into the banking, and you're just going to have named one of the accounts SMAS. She's going to go, why are you putting all the money in this SMAS account?
Yeah.
What's that going to be? Why is there hundreds of thousands of dollars in SMAS?
I've used the Barefoot Investors bucket system, and this one's my SMAS bucket.
SMAS bucket is it's just a great expression. I think you've misunderstood the Barefoot Investor. You need a SMAS bucket. Forget about your Mojo bucket. You got just flick a couple of coins in your Mojo bucket and put all your big notes in your SMAS bucket. So John, that's been the wild and wacky world of where facial surgery is going, particularly on it's crazy like how it's exploded through TikTok. Like what's happening is these people in Vietnam and China are putting these videos on their account to sell these procedures to Western women primarily, and it is working. Like the one of the guys I've seen several Australian women on his account that said, "Look, I come over from Australia. I saw this guy on TikTok. It's $14.99. I reckon I can do that. Put it on Klarna."
Such a modern phenomenon, isn't it? Because but those people would have just been completely obscure in pre-internet days, and now they're making a huge living because of social media.
I can imagine if you're a sort of small fish Vietnamese cosmetic surgeon 20 years ago, like you just can't access people, and now you're just in a Perth woman's postmenopausal pocket and you can absolutely like she just opens her phone. You're just like, oh, you need my special facelift, and it's $14.99, and then Bubba destroying.
Bang it a bang it a.
Bang it a bang it a bang. John, we've got the Patreon for this very reason. I've set up. There's a special tier of Patreon which is called SMAS, and that's only €300 a month, and for that you get me and John looking real smooth in a couple of years.
It's true. The ultra tier, you can direct us to get whatever procedure you think will warrant. I mean, it has to be a good faith assessment of my deficits. You can say, look, just get your teeth whitened, get those age spots taken off. I'll do it.
Beautiful. Well, everybody, write us in. Let us know if you're thinking of getting the SMAS, or I have discount codes for the Thai, for the Vietnamese guy as well. If you put in to your order form DPTM, then you're going to get $3 off your $14.99 facelift.
Yeah, and get a free bowl of fur afterwards.
John, do you want to take us out?
I want to say thank you very much to you, Al, for taking us into the alarming and fascinating world of the deep plane. I feel like I've been down into the shadow of the valley of the deep plane, and I've come back out.
The deep plane of the savannah, where we came from.
Exactly.
We've gone back.
And I've come back out with a renewed sense of what's possible. And as always, we have dared to ask the question. We spent so much time asking if we could deal with the SMAS that nobody thought to ask whether we should. And I hope that you, our listeners, have learned about procedures that you might want to take advantage of and others that you might want to leave until you're pushing 70 and you want to look like a 39-year-old man or woman. So thank you very much, Al, and thank you very much, everyone. And we can't wait to see you next week.
At the podcast.